Hey there, gamers. DreamCast Guy here. Today we're talking about PlayStation because a new
I really wish he would stop holding up that ugly ass God of War controller.
leaked meeting has just completed, and the new head of PlayStation has said that they're going back to full exclusive. No games on PC whatsoever. And it sounds like more than that. They experimented with a couple games going to like Nintendo Switch, games like Horizon, Lego, and also they did put some stuff on Xbox, Helldivers, things like MLB The Show. But
Ricardo's wife is in the new Star Fox? What does that mean? I didn't know Ricardo was married.
it sounds like basically it made zero money. It sounds like the experiment just hurt the PlayStation brand. They basically are saying, hey, we got to go back to the idea that, hey, if you see something like Uncharted or Killzone or Resistance, if you see those PlayStation games,
Uncharted, Killzone, or Resistance. 3 dead franchises. You know, the average PlayStation gamer struggles so hard to think of any game that's actually worth playing in the modern Sony era that they default to franchises that are essentially dead. Brutal, man.
that means, hey, it's time to buy a PlayStation. Let's take a look at this statement. Let's take a look at the reactions, because I got to admit that what's crazy
Cat Monroe. I've never heard of Cat Monroe.
to me is Xbox fans are sort of cheering this, saying, yes, bring back the console wars, but PC fans are mad, like actually mad. I'm seeing tweets of PC people saying, this is the last time you betray me, Sony. Let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So, we just finished talking about the fact that they are jacking up the price of PlayStation Plus Premium. They're also jacking up the price of the PlayStation itself. So it seems odd that in a lot of ways, I think Sony is trying to like basically go back to their walled garden approach. Let's make it so we have this fortress of good games and see how high we can raise the walls before you'll stop coming in, right? This is it. Jason Bloomberg, why did I say it like that? Jason Schreier of Bloomberg said PlayStation Studios business CEO Herman
A furry chick from Star Fox. Oh, nice. Very nice.
Holst told staff at a town hall Monday that the company's narrative single-player games are going back to being PlayStation exclusive, confirming Bloomberg's reporting earlier this year. Now, when this happened, I talked about it at the time. The video kind of blew up at the time, but a lot of people were saying that they just couldn't believe it. That in a lot of ways, this seemed a bit strange because it sort of counteracts their statements from
Not really. They make the money and get the player base for their live service games by putting it on PC. And then single player stuff is what they use to move consoles. So, I think it makes sense, honestly. Because Sony games weren't really selling too well on PC post, like, what? Maybe Last of Us Remastered? I don't know. I don't really think PlayStation games have been selling super well on PC moving forward, but the novelty seems to have worn off.
years ago. You can see this is actually an article from 2024. And for 2024 and 2025,
You were married to a cartoon back in 1997? Ricardo, I was born in 1997. What if? Yikes.
Sony was acting like putting games on PC was obvious, that it was the only correct choice. Sony says greater focus on putting first-party games on PC can help improve PlayStation's profit margins. Essentially what Sony was saying at the time is that making games is obviously very, very expensive. I mean, some of the leaked numbers of some of these Sony games like Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, they spent $300 million just making that. So they basically were saying, if we take some stuff that's even years old and put it on PC and it sells even halfway decent, we make our money back, we invest that into future games, and maybe somebody will say, hey, maybe it's worth buying a PlayStation. It could be that entry level, right? If you're getting the second God of War, let's put the first God of War, right? Always that sort of taste test of, hey, come over to Team Console, at least for the exclusives. And so it's weird that it just seems like they're completely backtracking against all of that. Look at these freaking replies. People are like, Asha Sharma's Twitter mentions are about to go crazy. PC Master Race in front of PlayStation Studio saying, can I speak to your manager? A lot of people are saying that the GOAT, Jason Schreier, was a liar when he originally leaked this. Sony raising the price of PlayStation Plus and pulling single-player games on PC in the same day they woke up and chose violence against everyone simultaneously. And people, salty PC fanboys out there, will call Jason Schreier a liar. Now, this to me is such an odd stance. I almost want to say partially this is because of all the big stuff they maybe have cooking. Like, let's try and say this, like we have to skew this very heavily, but let's assume they have a bunch of exclusives upcoming, right? There's talks about maybe we're going to see a new Infamous or an Infamous remake. Maybe it's them sort of telling themselves internally, hey, this stuff, just make it look amazing on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and maybe a PlayStation 6 port. We're not going to worry about PC. We're not going to worry about every other console. We're not going to try and do that. Just make it amazing on PS5, and systems are already selling. Hopefully this leads to even higher sales in the future. But a lot of people are straight up rage voting. Let them crash against the wall. I understand, and I'm full for exclusives against the competition's consoles, but pulling away from PC is a huge mistake. The money they're losing from PC is now being covered by PlayStation Plus. Congratulations, ponies. I assume that's how this gentleman talks. That's the thing, right?
I guess Dreamcast guy's voice acting arc is sooner than we thought.
Is that a lot of people are sort of seeing this as very much they're trying to put down the gauntlet. When they first started even rumored to be pulling away from PC, I think a lot of that is that the next-gen console of Xbox, Project Helix, there's multiple very confirmed leaks and basically statements implicitly from Xbox themselves that it's going to be a hybrid console PC. That instead of just playing Xbox games, it's straight up going to have like Steam launcher on it. And I think that in a lot of ways, like PlayStation does.
I think so too, man. He's a pro in the making.
Like the idea, hey, you could boot up Spider-Man on literally an Xbox, play with an Xbox controller on your Xbox. Even if PlayStation gets a cut, they don't love the idea of how that'll look. It feels like there is a lot of people that you talk to that just really don't understand exclusives. A lot of people don't really understand that there's some games that exist here, some games that exist here. There are a lot of like normies out there that just straight up do not understand stuff. They're like, all right, which plastic box plays that game trailer that I saw before I watched Fast and the Furious 25, right? So it seems like they're trying to basically break down on market confusion, but it's weird to think about the age of only on PlayStation coming back. We'll see if it ends up being something good. It is just single player games, so their live service stuff, like that weird Horizon live service game and stuff, it's coming back. A lot of PlayStation fans, though, are genuinely happy about it. And I think part of it comes down to the fact that it's hard not to be like nostalgic for this PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 era, right? So many games, new Jak and Daxter, Shadow of the Colossus remake, so many games that were funded, bought, paid for, crazy games that were Sony only on PlayStation that were the hardware pushers. Like the next big PlayStation game was something people were always talking about. I used to call this the era of the victory lap, where basically every time PlayStation came out with a game, they would just sell tons of copies, tons of consoles, tons of limited edition controllers, and then they'd brag about it while announcing the next exclusive, the next crazy game, sometimes a direct sequel, right? It's weird to think about the fact that at this point, Sony just doesn't release games. I mean, in a lot of ways, they kind of don't need to, but it's a lot more fun when they do, right? When I see stuff like this, I've seen a lot of PlayStation fans starting to say that Xbox needs to step up to sort of take down this egotistical Sony. This guy here, MBG, Muscle Bound Gamer, I think is what that stands for, is a very big PlayStation guy, very PlayStation-centric YouTuber. That's how he phrases it. Some people say he's a fanboy. I think he's just very excited about the console. But at this point, I'm rooting for Xbox to kick the crap out of PlayStation so Sony wakes up. Of course, not everything with PlayStation is bad, but it's got no point with the idea that PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 era seems like a pipe dream. You know, that version of PlayStation that acknowledged they had a fan base that actually communicated, actually made attempts to listen to the fans and take it to the next level with feedback, at the very least attempt to drum up some genuine excitement.
He's got battered wife syndrome, I guess.
Around the brand. We all know they are a corporation.
I just can't imagine actually caring this deeply about console shit in the big 26, bro. Like, it just feels like it's dead. Like, does anyone actually really even fucking care about console anymore? Like, you either just have a PS5 or you don't. You know, you get a PC or you get a PS5, and then you get a Switch 2 as, like, an auxiliary device. And that's it. You know, it's like, this whole console war shit's just kind of meh.
And it's a business at the...
It doesn't have the same appeal that it used to. You know, there's no game in it anymore. It's just kind of boring as fuck, because neither one of them even provides anything worth a damn half the time.
End of the day, but still, that doesn't mean they have to be sterile, cold, calculated, and boring, right? I don't know why I'm making this guy sound like that. He probably just talks like a normal human. There's a balance that can be achieved where one doesn't have to come at the expense of everything else. I'm not trying.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about Dreamcast guy. I'm talking about MBG. You know, the muscle-bound gamer. Sony's biggest shill on YouTube right now. So, that's who I was talking about. He's got, like, battered wife syndrome.
To come off as someone who just wants to see PlayStation go down in flames, just a fan who feels like they're barely any excitement anymore in covering PlayStation. Every week is some bad news, and when there's only some good news, there's always something right next to it that's offset immediately. That has been most of the PlayStation 5 generation, unfortunately. You know, I'm in the camp where I want to try to be excited about this, but it's hard not to see this as almost more of a threat than a promise. It doesn't feel like, hey, we're improving. Hey, we're working on Uncharted 5. Hey, we have crazy new exclusives. Hey, there's all sorts of new stories we're cooking up. It feels instead like a threat. You're going to play at my house or else we're going to burn the house.
He fixed his top teeth, not the bottom yet.
Down, right? We'll see how it plays out. At